G'day throttlers and welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm really excited about this video because I'm having my first ever guest here in the Throttle Downunder studio, and this lady is a very interesting lady. Now I came across her on social media around about 8 months ago, and the reason why she stood out so much was because she's a grandmother, she's a motorcyclist, but more than that, her motorcycle is very unique, and you're going to see that very shortly. But more importantly, this lady is not only a lady that's riding a motorcycle that's a bit of a crazy motorcycle, but she's also a super interesting lady that has many layers to her career, and I'm really excited to talk to her about that. And as well, stick around to the end because we're talking about a world record attempt that she's going to be attempting next year, and she might need your help. Alright, throttlers, welcome again to the channel. We're here with Chris Keeble from the Aussie and the Indian today. And as I said in the introduction, I discovered Chris about 8 months ago. This crazy lady riding a big crazy motorcycle around New South Wales. And I had to meet her. I was lucky enough to meet you at Throttle Roll just recently.
Yes, you were.
And we've been communicating a little bit, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
That's good. Firstly, tell me about the Aussie and the Indian. Why have you chosen to do this rather than just being comfortable in a car?
Well, I've been a bike rider now for probably 30 years. I've always loved motorbike riding. And I turned 60 this year.
Right.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. And you know, you get to an age where you start to think about, well, what's it all about, Alfie? What am I going to do with myself? Worked hard all my life, I've had the kids, done everything that's expected of me. I still look after a lot of people, but anyway, it's coming up to my time.
Right.
So I wanted to create this thing where I travel around, and I want to be of no fixed address.
Yep. And
I mean, I want to travel around the world, but I certainly want to travel around Australia because I've only just scratched the surface of this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so much to do. So I'm working towards, probably 3 years is my plan because a number of reasons: financial, my work, my grandbabies are big, you know, I get into primary school, so they don't need me as much.
Yep.
So 3 years seems to be the magic number for me for a lot of reasons, that I just want to be able to take off and live on the road.
Yeah.
And so I created this thing called the Aussie and the Indian because, you know, I'm in marketing, so I'm all about sort of finding brands and working out how to promote. So
Sure.
that's my plan. And I've been, I guess you could say, since I've done this, which has been just shy of 2 years since
Right.
I got the Indian, I'm on training wheels. So this is me now just experimenting every weekend, every chance I get. I'm off traveling, meeting people, got all my camera gear, still learning editing, still understanding, you know, the ways to edit and cut things together. And
Yep.
so by the time I do go, I'll be creating Oscar-winning movie But, you know, and it's finding your style as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's loads of moto vloggers out there, and I belong to a group and we help each other with tips. And I look at lots of moto vloggers' videos to learn ways
Yep.
to think, oh, that's an interesting angle, or that's a good idea.
A shout out to the Indian moto vloggers actually, because I follow you guys as well.
Yeah.
Brandon Picasso and
Yes,
Bearded
yeah.
Bobber.
So I'm a
and-
part of
Yep.
that group of guys.
Yep.
And I'm very grateful that they invited me in, and I learn a lot from them. They talk a lot of mechanical, a bit more mechanical than me, but they've
Yep.
all got their styles, and I guess I'm trying to find a niche that makes me a little bit different. And I think I'm finding it with the people. You know,
Yeah.
it's a combination of yes, it's about motorbike riding and the roads and the destinations, but it's also about the crazy characters that I meet along the way, and quirky little bits of trivia that I discover that I think, oh gee, I'm fascinated by that, so I'll share that with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll roll in your bike in a little while, and I'll get you to show us right around your bike.
Calamity Jane.
There's a lot of awesome little trinkets.
I keep adding to it. She's a fat old broad now, but my philosophy is the bigger she looks, the smaller I look.
That's perfect.
No more dieting for me.
I love it. So there's a lot of leather we're going to see on the bike.
Voted the world's worst vegetarian
Is that,
bike.
yeah, I like it. I like it. So, and I noticed on a video you just put up last night or the night before that you do a lot of your own staining of the leather as well.
Own, yeah.
So is that something you've just done recently, or have you been doing that for a while?
No, I just discover things. I mean, you know, I've ruined my kitchen bench. I've ruined my hands. You know, now I wear gloves.
Yep.
So I wanted, I like that dark, rich leather and leather to look a little bit old and worn.
Yeah.
So of course, the leather that the Indian bikes come with is, you know, brand new and tan and all beautiful.
Yeah.
But I wanted that distressed look. So I just research and Google. I mean, Dr. Google has been the saviour of everything I do.
Absolutely.
And go, all right, then I go to find leather shops and I ask for advice and get bottles of stuff, mixing stuff up.
Yep.
And I'm as rough as guts.
That's good. It works though. It looks amazing.
The stuff ends up all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
very good.
I like it darker.
Yeah, nice. Because you just recently got a new bag, a top box bag, and it was a bit light, and you've made it dark now, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It matches because I've still got lots of leftover colours and mixing stuff together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a gentleman was selling his Indian, and he had lots of bits of extra stuff that I'd been eyeing off, and I go, oh, beauty. So I, rode up to Bulahdelah and met Paul, and he even fitted the floorboard things for me.
Perfect. That's good service.
Just got to bat your eyelash.
That's right. Doesn't work for me though. All right. So when I discovered you, it was because of the motorbike, and the more that I've followed you, I've realised that there's many layers.
Lots of layers.
To Chris Keeble.
There's lots of layers.
So, firstly, I'm fascinated about the Rockumentry Series that you run. Like, I'm a try-hard ex-musician.
Yeah.
And I think...
There's a lot of us.
Yeah, that's right.
As well, yeah.
And so tell us about your rockumentaries, your shows that you...
Okay, well, I've got my background is oddly enough in theatre. I'm a triple major BA in theatre theory and practice, marketing and multimedia. Right. So my first love was theatre. So I have all these favourite playwrights, Beckett, Molière, O'Neill, and to the point where when I got a job after I graduated as a mature age student, the most hated on campus.
Right.
There's not a lot of work in theatre worlds. But anyway, Panthers was opening up the Evan Theatre.
Right.
Yeah, so I go, oh my God, they're opening up a theatre. So they need a theatre manager.
Right.
So I just wrote to them and said, you guys need to try me out. I'll work for nothing for you until you can't live without me. That was the strategy back in those days.
Yep.
And they said, yeah, come on in and let's have a chat. So I started managing and I opened the Evan Theatre at Panthers.
Wow.
But when I went in there with this highbrow theatre, snobbery that we have.
Yep.
And I was going to name the dressing rooms after my favourite playwright. So there's going to be Molière, Beckett, O'Neill and Shakespeare and all that sort of stuff. But I soon realised that it wasn't the theatre that I was used to. It's sort of more of a concert hall theatre.
Right.
The dressing rooms really should have been Cold Chisel, Machine Gun Fellatio, all that sort of stuff.
It is Penrith after all.
But anyway, it was a great grounding for me, and it was a 1,000-seat theatre, and I opened it, and before I knew it, I was managing all their entertainment and events because I'm a trained producer, if you like. So I've always had this idea of writing my own stuff, and I didn't want to go highbrow and write a play, and I didn't want to go, I don't want to sound like a snob, lowbrow and just do cover band stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for every bit of entertainment. So I tried to create a mix of both. So I researched and wrote stories about rock icons. And I wrote their story from birth to death, if they're gone. Wow. And then I got a musical director and a band. So he looked at I said, there's all the songs I want, all the hits from that person. Yep. And in between the songs, we're going to tell the story of their life. And while that's going on, I want all imagery and footage going up. So as we tell the story, if we talking a story about that particular person as a 10-year-old kid, pictures of them of a 10-year-old kid. So I've done a lot of research and searching, and to the point where Janis Joplin is one of my subject matters. Fascinating subject.
Yeah, wow.
She is amazing. for her short life, she's part of the 27 Club. So
Right.
she died at 27 with Hendrix and all the others.
Yep.
But that short life, she did a lot, and she was I even went to Port Arthur in Houston, Texas, just outside of Houston, and visited her hometown and sort of talked to people. There was no one there that still knew her then, but everyone had stories of her. So anyway, that's all in the show. And then there's a few others. So so it's like a live documentary on stage.
Yep.
That's why I call them a rockumentary.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So that's behind that. That's why it happened, because that is my training, and I was itching to get back into creating something, and I just saw a gap in the market where there was nothing in the middle that was a little bit theatre, a little bit educational, a bit of an experience for the whole senses, being you can visually see all footage and imagery as well as listen to all the great hits from that person.
Yep.
So a really full-bodied, robust, entertaining couple of hours.
Sounds amazing.
They're great shows.
So you've got another one called Angry Old Men.
The Songs and Tales of Angry Old Men, which is a set list to my life.
Right.
Being a baby boomer and growing up with the best music known to man. So I'm crazy Bob Dylan fan, Neil Young, Leonard Cohen, Johnny Cash, Tom Waits, all those sort of old troubadours from that era. So the Songs and Tales of Angry Old Men is all their stories.
Right.
So we feature all a couple of their hits, and we tell some stories about them, stories that I hope most of the audience don't know, because I try and find stuff that's not normally known.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can learn something new.
And then all the imagery and the song list, the set list is the best. That's fun. That's my favourite show.
I can't wait to see some of your shows.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, come along. Let me know.
Yeah,
come
absolutely.
Along. Yeah.
So, where did your motorcycle passion come from? How long have you been riding for?
In my early 20s, my then husband had a motorbike, and he pillioned me on a couple of things. I hated being a pillion. I felt quite out of control. Yeah. But I loved the sensation of being out there. So I just got my motorcycle license on a Suzuki 250.
Yeah, yeah.
Which fell to bits the day I was able to go up.
Yep.
And and I just figured, I'm going to ride alongside him rather than be on the back. Perfect. And which is, I think, how most relationships of friendship should be. You should all be alongside each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so then from there I went on to a Harley Custom 883.
Yep.
And I bespoke that thing within an inch of its life as well.
Yeah.
Every bike I've had, I've changed it.
Yep.
I had a little dyno for a while, and then I went to a Softail Deluxe.
Right.
That was like looked like a big Californian police bike, the black and white.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful bike.
Yep.
Beautiful ride as well.
Yep.
But I felt that was just a bit big,
right.
She says, as she's now on this bloody thing.
What a 400 kilo.
So I went back down into the dyno range on a Fat Bob.
Right.
Which again, I changed the colour and added stuff, and the saddle was on that's now on Calamity.
Okay.
And so I had that for a good few years. I loved it.
Yep.
And then, but I've always, I produced the launch of Victory back in the day when Victory launched in Sydney.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they approached me because that's what I do. I'm a producer of things. Yep. Well, I actually let them know about me as well, a bit like I did with Panthers.
Right.
You gotta be, you gotta make your own luck sometimes. Yeah. And I said, hey guys, I see you're opening in soon in Sydney. Do you need someone to produce your launch? And they go, well, yeah, we do actually. And that's how I met these guys. So I was part of that Victory thing, and then I just kept in touch with that was launched, and then I heard that they were getting the Indian in, and I've always had this little fascination with the Indian.
Yeah. There's
just something about the backstory to Indian, and it's just got a really nice vibe to it, which I've always liked the story and the look. And when I heard Polaris had bought up the Indian brand, I went, oh, okay. And I said, goes, when are they coming? So they had the Victory showroom, and all they had there for a while was the motor of an Indian chief.
Right.
Just the motor on a plinth.
Yep.
So I'd go in there and I'd looked at the size of this motor and I go, oh my God, they're so big.
Yeah.
I went down from a Deluxe down to the Dyna because I just kept looking and kept thinking about it. And of course, once they got all the bikes in, I used to go in and I just said to them, they go, come on, Chris, you can do it.
Yeah.
I go, okay, but there's going to be conditions. I need to bring some stuff over because I will customise this bike as well. And they were so good. They just let me, I go, that saddle's got to come over, so let's make the docking thing right. And clue. I'll buy the black one because I won't want a black bike. I'm going to change it all and I need all the parts separated. So they were really good. They looked after me brilliantly, and thus was born Calamity Jane.
Yeah.
Or Calamity. I mean, some say I'm Calamity, that's Jane. They break it up. We have an identity crisis. I call her Calamity.
Yeah.
But, so she was born, and I've just kept been bespoking her ever since.
And she's amazing. I can't wait to show the viewers your bike, if they haven't seen it already.
Well, you know, that people tell me she looks better in real life as well.
And and I agree with that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because there's always something and I keep adding things as well.
Yeah, cool. All right, so the lucky last thing I wanted to ask you about is Silverton 2020.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Okay, so this is an event that I'm producing, and I was riding around West Australia in Perth, and I met a guy called David Digby, who's an Indian rider over there, so I try and catch up with her, and I interviewed him and did a story on him. And he was telling me that a couple of years before he'd been to America, and he was involved in a Guinness World Record breaking event with the most Indians on a parade.
Right.
So, and that was set at 274. Now I went, oh, okay, 274. I would have thought more for America.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, we'd smash it if we did it in Australia. I said, well, let's do it. That's what I do. He goes, oh, would ya? I go, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll produce the event. And I have these chiefs now. David's one of them. All on each state. Each state's got a chief, which is like just a person that can help gather the interest in that area.
Yep.
So hence was born the 2020 event as a world record attempt to break that 274 number. We're already 165 or 68 registrations, and we're now 10 months out.
Yeah.
So there'll be a big influx after the year. So we have an absolute real chance of breaking this record.
That's
fantastic. There's about 2.5 odd plus thousand Indians sold in Australia.
Yep.
Getting lots of interest.
Yeah.
Why Silverton? I hear you ask. Because it's difficult in this big country to find a destination that will keep everybody reasonably happy.
Yep.
When the majority of riders are on the eastern seaboard, but you've still got the western seaboard to think about. Finding a place that's got the infrastructure with accommodation and things to do, and besides just us meeting, other interesting things to do. A destination that should be on everyone's bucket list in this country.
Yep.
Hence Broken Hill / Silverton. You know, Mad Max 2, there's a great iconic backdrop. I think with that backdrop we'll get international media attention.
Sure.
Everyone knows it. It's a good ride. I mean, I know there's some long straight bits for everybody, but it's hard to find a destination that's going to keep everyone happy. But most people understand and are now preparing to organise their ride. I mean, from Tassie, Melbourne, South Australia, Sydney, the south part of Queensland, it's a comfortable 2 to 3 day ride.
Yeah.
Well, 3 days comfortable. You know, you can push it for 2. For the Perth, West Australia guys, obviously they're looking at 4. They've got to cross the Nullarbor and things like that. But there are options though to put their bike on a train to Adelaide, and then just whip up to Broken Hill, which some are doing that. Yep. There's a gentleman, Dudley Eastlake. Anyway, Dudley, he's got a big truck. He's going to freight some bikes. That, the scouts and things. It's a little bit long for them, or people that maybe aren't sort of riders of long distance riders. You know, we're all different types. So he'll put their bike on the. So everyone's finding ways. People are getting a motorhome and trailering their bike, and they're camping out there. So it's gathering lots of interest. So. The parade itself is just for Indians, but there are other bike riders that are messaging me and say, hey Chris, can other bikers come? Of course, I can't stop anyone from coming to Broken Hill, and they just want to come and cheer us on and the whole thing. So there'll be other bikers there. It isn't a bike festival. Right. It's purely done for a gathering of Indian motorbikes and enthusiasts in one spot for the first time in Australia, hopefully to crack a world record for the most on a parade. Now, it's certainly going to break records for the first time in Australia and the first time in the Southern Hemisphere, so we'll get those records. America has another crack at it this October, long weekend. It's called the Gregory's 500. Now they've just cracked 300 registrations. Right. Okay. So they've already registered. Yep. They've beaten the record. I mean, people have got to turn up yet. Yep. And you do average 10% pull out or for whatever reason. So. But they are the ones to watch for me. Now, you know, I reckon we've got a good crack 300s into mid 300s. That's the reality.
Yep.
If these guys get to the 500, which is their target, that will be more of a challenge for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But regardless, that is the icing on the cake, the Guinness World Record.
Yep.
If that doesn't happen, it almost doesn't matter because the event itself is going to be a great gathering. Silverton's going to be covered in Indian motorbikes.
Yep.
We've got organised photographers, and Silverton Pub, they're going to have all the Indians out the front of the pub for an iconic worldwide Kodak moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be great. And while it's not a bike festival, so there's no show and shines or raffles or anything like that, as we get closer to the event, who knows? If people approach me and say, Chris, I sell patches or motorbike apparel, or I said, yeah, if you guys want to come out and set up in the streets of Silverton.
Yep.
So it might turn into something a bit more, but my focus is just on
hitting a number.
Doing that parade
Yep.
and get that gathering done.
Yeah.
But it may grow. It's growing legs every week.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So if you're watching this, if you own a Indian motorcycle, if you can borrow one, if you
Yes.
can rent one,
Yes.
come out to Silverton Mother's Day weekend.
It's
next year.
Yeah, and that was the only weekend. I mean, Broken Hill is actually a big destination for a lot of agricultural shows,
Right.
festivals. They have a lot of things going on. So finding a free weekend that was in reasonable weather time, you know, not in the cold, not in the heat, was a challenge. And that was really the only weekend left. So the only little thing, but you got to turn this around. It's Mother's Day on the Sunday. The thing will be finished Saturday.
Yep.
Fly her out there,
Bring her
treat
out. Yeah, absolutely.
or get your brownie points all up and take her out the weekend before and take off. So I'm sure we're all smart enough, we can work it out.
Absolutely.
To keep our mums
Mum,
happy.
maybe you can come to Silverton with me.
Done.
Yeah.
Yep, do that.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming in.
My
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Give your website a plug.
Yep, so it's easy. It's theaussie-theindian.com. And from that, you can find, there's links to my Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So rather than try and tell everything, just go to theaussie-theindian.com and you'll find, and that's where you register for the event as well.
Awesome.
Everything's on that website. And that will get better as I get better at making websites as
Yeah,
well.
awesome.
Trying to do everything. Not bad for a 6-year-old Luddite.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Now head over to the website. Make sure you follow Chris on all of the socials. In particular, a YouTube channel. This is her retirement fund. She's trying to build, guys. So make sure you support her. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's wheel your bike in and show the viewers your bike.
Woohoo, calamity. She's a
All right.
show off.
Thanks, guys.